Hello and welcome back to Talkin Pitch Side. I am your host PJ, going solo today, so bear with me. It's always a little weird not having the dynamic of Tony or any other guests that we have, but I do still enjoy getting to speak to you all, and I appreciate you listening in to me in this solo cast today. Before we get into the games this week and predictions that I have for each game this week, I did want to touch on a news story that happened today on the day of recording, Thursday, April 9th, and that was Neymar to FC Cincinnati. Now, this is, of course, as I have on the screen here, Tom is reporting very preliminary. Paul Tenorio is in the same boat. Like, this is beginning stages, if anything. So there's a couple different levels I want to talk about that speak to this type of signing and what it means for Cincinnati, what it means for Neymar, all these things. Of course, we have the hype of the World Cup coming to the United States. I think you're going to see a ton of rumors of stuff like this. Like, you're going to see guys like Neymar be linked to the United States just because of all the hype around the World Cup and the ability for them to continue to grow their brand in a country like the United States. So it's interesting for Neymar in him wanting to come to the MLS at this stage of his career. Of course, Neymar is kind of at the end, and I don't know how much of a like major factor he would be on the field for FC Cincinnati, but I don't think that's why this move would be made. Just to be frank, I think that this is the type of name you bring in that's going to drive jersey sales, kit sales. It's going to drive ticket sales. It's going to drive branding. It's going to drive a lot of things for Cincinnati, which is why they would do something like this. I think your hope is that you get something out of the field. You have those Neymar flashes, the skill like that just shows up every once in a while. But you're not winning a team with Neymar being your best player. That's just a fact at this point. Which that's not what FC Cincinnati needs right now. Of course, they have a Brazilian star in Evander from MLS terms of star, and that is enough for them to compete with Neymar alongside him and Kevin Danke. I don't know how this is all going to work financially for FC Cincinnati because this seems like it would have to be a DP deal. So either Kevin Danke or Evander would need to leave. In my opinion, it would look like it would be Kevin Danke at this point. If you were to think that you'd want the Brazilians to play together, Neymar could play in that attacking role where Kevin Danke fills it, and that connection would work per se in theory. So I think that's interesting for Cincinnati. It's a bizarro rumor, and as a Cincinnati fan myself, I mean, you don't have to sell me on it. I don't think it's going to help Cincinnati win an MLS Cup, which I would love for them to do. But I think it's one of those signings. If you're a fan, you just go, okay, this is like a once in a lifetime type of talent, type of name, type of star in the footballing world. You don't really say no to this opportunity from a revenue standpoint, how it's going to drive. So I think it'd be fun. I think it could go a ton of different ways. It could go really south if he doesn't really care, and it's there's no passion on the field. It's all for the United States move. But I also think it could be good for a city like Cincinnati to get a megastar, like an international megastar, to have in your city. And Cincinnati, like the tweet says, like they've wanted to be a club that brings in some of the biggest talent in the footballing world. And they've swung and missed on some. Thomas Muller being one of the more recent ones they've tried to bring in, didn't work out. So I think this is an interesting move. I think it would be fun for the MLS. I think if it's not Cincinnati, I think someone should do it just from a talking head standpoint. I just don't want it to be Miami. Like I don't want Miami to continue to get these guys. I want it to be spread. Kind of like Antoine Griezmann going to Orlando. Like I want these guys to go to different clubs to keep growing the brand of the MLS. So it's interesting on a lot of different levels, and I hope it happens. And I hope we're sitting here at the end of the summer or at the end of the season and saying, okay, this is something that's legitimately going to happen because I think it could help grow the brand of FC Cincinnati. It could help grow the brand of MLS. And you hope Neymar takes it somewhat serious. But that's the biggest question mark, honestly, on a move like this is how serious is he going to take it? And when a guy like Neymar go to Cincinnati, like that's a big part of it. So total maybe type move. I just think from a talking head standpoint, it would be awesome to have in the MLS. Okay, well that's enough Neymar talk, rumor talk. let's get to the actual games this week. And that's going to bring us to game number one. I'm going to bring up the screen here so everyone can follow along with me. Speaking of FC Cincinnati, they're playing in that 1 o'clock slot against Toronto. These are two teams that already played this season, and Toronto won. It was at Cincinnati. Now it's swapped over to Toronto. I think the concern here for Cincinnati is the goal scoring ability. Now this team, Cincinnati, is going to look different this go around. They're playing a more 4-4-2, kind of like Toronto plays, so they're going to look very similar. It shows the 3-5-2 right now, but really one of these center backs, in this case Brad Smith, would be moved over to, say, like the wing over here, or plays a fullback, and you'd have Ramirez drop back as a fullback, and these four would play as that forward middle. So it's going to look different. I think Cincinnati are trying to score more. I think they are trying to change their identity a bit because it's not working with that five back right now, and it's stale, and they're off out of the gates really rough, and they need to win desperately. Toronto up and down. Walker Zimmerman's hurt again. I don't think he's featuring in this game. Josh Sargent coming off his first goal of the year. I think they're going to be just slowly getting better as this year goes on. So it's going to be an interesting tight game. I'm biased, of course, as a Cincinnati fan. I always pick them to win, so I'm going to do that. But if I was neutral, I'd probably be leaning towards Toronto. So I think Toronto has the ability to win this game at home. Cincinnati still trying to figure out what they are, because that's still a question mark. Next game here, we have Austin at home versus LA Galaxy. Two teams, are in very different worlds right now. Of course, Austin is coming off that draw against Miami. LA Galaxy coming off that loss in over the weekend, and now in the midweek to Toluca as well, 4-2. So an interesting spot for them. It's a club that needs a win, and so does Austin, honestly. So two teams that are going to be desperate to get 3 points in this one. You've got Ramirez, of course, going against LA Galaxy for the first time since he left, which will be interesting. But I just think this is going to be two teams that are desperate, and that's going to result in a draw. I think that I don't believe in either of these teams to fully take control of this game, and I think we're going to see a draw on this one. Shared points, and these two teams still struggling to really get a grip on their season. Moving on here, we have the MLS Sicko game of the week. If you're a real sicko, you're watching Montreal versus Philly. This game's gross, and I hate to say it. Philly have not had a point this season. They need a point, and this is the type of team they need to get it against. I know it's on the road. I know winning on the road is tough in this league. I just think if it's not Montreal, it's not going to be anybody. So they need to do it now. I think it's going to be a draw again. I think Philly gets their first point of the year. I just don't think they're good enough yet to fully get all three on the road. They're struggling. I think Montreal has shown signs of life at time, and I think that they need to win this game. They need to get that attack going, and they need to keep a lead. That's what's a little bit of trouble at times for them this season. Continuing on here, we have Portland at home versus LAFC. Portland, a little bit of hot seat situation for them coaching wise. They're allowing a ton of goals. LAFC coming off, of course, that 6-goal performance, and I don't see it slowing down, honestly, against this Portland squad. I will be interested to know how much they're rotating because of the midweek game and what that looks like. But I still think if the rotated squad, I can't pick against LAFC. They haven't allowed a goal. They haven't allowed a goal all year, and they're going against the worst defense. Like, you can't tell me they're not going to score a goal against Portland. So I'm going to go LAFC. I think it might be 2-0, and they might keep that scoreless streak going. We'll see how long that lasts, but I'm going to go LAFC taking down Portland. Now into the 7:30 slate. We have Charlotte at home versus Nashville. Nashville, of course, coming off midweek. Nashville, of course, coming off a loss last week against Chicago, which they struggled on the road. Charlotte, coming off a win. They took care of business at home. So kind of like duplicating scenario here. I picked Nashville to win last week. I'm going to continue to pick them. I just believe in them that much, that attack. I think Chicago did a great job of bottling them up. and I don't know if Charlotte's gonna be able to do the same. That defense is looked shaky at times, and I think Nashville's attack is just too good to be bottled up back to back weeks. And I'm gonna go Nashville winning this one on the road 2-1. Miami playing against this Red Bull side. We have Red Bull who just beat FC Cincinnati. Miami drawing Austin. I keep picking Miami to win. They just aren't doing it, and I'm going to keep picking them. I think this is a nightmare scenario for Red Bulls in terms of how they play. I think Messi and friends are going to counter them and counter them and counter them. So it will be interesting to watch how that one plays out. I just think that it's going to be tough for Red Bulls to get a grip on this game, especially at Miami, new stadium. This is going to be all Miami. I think this is a thrashing, maybe 3-1, 4-1. It's going to be a tough go at it for Red Bulls. Another sicko game is we got New England against DC. New England's the most confusing team in the MLS so far this year in my mind. They can't decide if they want to win, if they want to lose. There's no close games. They either lose by a lot or win by a lot. And then you've got DC who have been frisky at times, but I think you're starting to see their true colors. Like they're still just not quite there talent wise. I think this is be the first close game New England plays in. I think it's going to be a tight one. I'm going to go New England to win at home, though. I think they're going to win in a close game, 2-1. And I think this is their chance to play in an actually competitive game, one way or another. So we'll see how that looks for them for the first time this year. Moving on, we got Vancouver at home versus NYCFC. NYCFC coming off the roughest patch of the season so far. Started off really well. Last 2 weeks, not so great. Vancouver continues just to show excellence in MLS play. I think there's been like question marks around them, and I don't really get it. This team went to the MLS Cup last year. They fully dominated this year again at times. Sebastian Berhalter continues just to be one of the more impressive midfielders in the MLS. Thomas Muller's getting his. Brian White still hasn't, I feel like, hit his like full gear yet, so I think you can still see more from him. And I think this is a tough draw for NYCFC coming off their last 2 games on the road. Teams don't win very often in Vancouver, and I'm not going to pick them to win this week either. I think Vancouver takes care of business and wins a close one. I think it'll be like 2-1, but I think Vancouver gets all 3 points. Chicago at home versus Atlanta. You aren't going to see me picking against Chicago. They are going to take care of business against Atlanta. Unfortunately, Atlanta is just still at such a talent deficit. They are just a year away, at least it feels like, from being competitive. Chicago coming off a big win against Nashville. I think that's you saw signs of how that defense looked, and if the attack can just do a little bit more, I mean, they're going to be a good team in the East. They're going to compete. So I'm going to go Chicago at home in this one. FC Dallas at home against St. Louis. We have an interesting one here. I'm going to go Dallas at home. I think Peter Musa, you throw up the Moose is loose, is going to find his way to get it done. And I think St. Louis coming off a good game last week. I just think you're going to see a very up and down performance from St. Louis. We've talked in this podcast. We are very high on the future of St. Louis. I think they're building something. I just don't think it's this year fully, but I think next year and the year after, you're going to see a new St. Louis squad. So I'm going to go Dallas now. They're been in our power rankings. They're rising quick. I love their attack, and if their defense can do even a little bit like they've done, they're going to be competitive. So I like Dallas. SKC at home against my darling San Jose. I have been all over San Jose. They have not let me down, and last week was just the epitome of that. I think you're in a little bit of a trap scenario here, though, is what I will say to San Jose fans. You're going so high, and then you go into SKC. Everyone in the world is going, you're not losing this game, and you're going to find a way to be in a close game here. Excuse me. So I do think you're going to see San Jose have to really grind this one out. I think that their defense is good enough. They will, and they will get one across. I think you hope to see more Timo Werner playing and healthy, and I think he is supposed to play in this one. And Jovic is going to be the guy they're going to have to key on to make sure he's not getting a goal like he does in every single game, it feels like. So, San Jose, I'm going to pick you again. I'm not picking against you, but I think that this is a trap game scenario, is what I would say. Colorado against Houston. This feels like a game of 2 teams that feel very similar. And it's 2 teams that I feel like show glimpses, and then they show like other glimpses where it's like, oh, you're just like so close. I want you to to succeed, and you're so close. You're almost there, and that's just how I feel about these teams right now. It's like tough. I want them both to be good. Now they're both going against each other. I like both these teams. I've been quietly one of the more like passionate Colorado fans this year, and Paxton Aronson and what they're doing offensively. I love to watch it. Houston hasn't quite clicked offensively. I think that's what's going to hurt them in this one. I think Colorado gets it done at home. Another close game. Some of these matchups are going to be great. I think Colorado sneaks one out though, 2-1. San Diego at Minnesota to finish us off here. It's going to be finish off on Saturday. It's going to be an interesting matchup. I think Minnesota like just thrives in these type of games for some reason. I don't think they will. San Diego needs a win. They need to desperately bounce back. So I think you're gonna see a good San Diego side in this one. I think they get it done. I think it's gonna be like 3-1. But I think Minnesota is gonna give them hell a little bit. Like they're gonna make it difficult. And I would love to see James Rodriguez play at some point in the season. Just saying. So sorry, Minnesota fans, for all that hype that was built for that one. On Sunday, we have the Columbus Crew versus Orlando. Columbus Crew side is coming off of a win against Atlanta. I don't know how much you can make of that win. They needed it desperately. Orlando coming off a thrashing against LAFC. They lost 6-0. It's the worst defense I've ever watched, guys. I'm sorry. You get excited about Antoine Griezmann. It's great. I love this happening. This is the worst defense in the MLS. Like, not even close. And I don't think it's going to get any better at Columbus. I think Columbus has found a way to make these games a lot closer than they should so far this year, so we'll see how they perform in that scenario. I do think Columbus gets it done, though. They will have plenty of chances to score. It's just about it. If they convert them, I think they will. Abu Ali, I can see getting a brace in this game. So watch out for that. I think Columbus takes care of business at home. Wednesday game here. Oh, that's September, so we can disregard that one. Okay. Well, with that being said, this is going to be a lot quicker episode. Really quick. This is just quick predictions, solo cast PJ. But we still have Stin's picks. We still have Stin to give us his insight and let us know what he thinks about this week in the
Nick Hagglund Revenge Game Part 2. Imagine a world where Neymar and Nick Hagglund share the same air. That's sick. Pat Noonan and Kevin Danke have to figure it out because below average is not acceptable. Toronto 2, Cincy 2. Two of the 2025 Admin of the Year finalists go head-to-head. There's no love lost, so I'm excited for the banter between these two. Turf Monster snatches the soul. Charlotte 2, Nashville 1. Unflation meets 6'7" teen Skibbity Riz Moggers at New Stadium. Julian Bryce Hall and the Sway House might have the juice, but don't have the sauce. Take down Chopped Falcone. Miami 4, Red Bulls 1. The battle of the best baby blues in the league. Berhalter and Blackman look to take down O'Neal, O'Toole, and Hayda. Even with NYC missing Martinez, I think they managed to keep this scoreline marginal. Vancouver 2, NYCFC 2. Lastly, we have the yin-yang matchup of the week with the Blitzkrieg offense of San Diego and the Sitzkrieg of Minnesota. No duo hurts, but they'll still be able to overpower the struggling Loons. San Diego 3, Minnesota 1.
Okay, Stin, thank you as always for the passionate picks. We love it. I know the fans love it. We get a little weird. It gets a little weird sometimes. So we love it. Thank you, Stin. He had Toronto since he drawing. I think if I wasn't biased, it's not a bad pick. Charlotte beating Nashville is shocking to me right now. Miami beating Red Bulls in a big win. I'm all in on that. Vancouver NYCFC drawing. I was on Vancouver. And then San Diego beating Minnesota. I had the exact same score line. So, I mean, we're kind of close, a little bit different on a few of them, but I still like all of Stin's picks. But with that being said, thank you for tuning in for this quick episode, a quick Friday edition of Talkin' Pitch Side. We talked about Neymar. We talked about our MLS predictions. I will be tuning in, like the rest of you, for this weekend's results. So make sure to subscribe if you're listening on YouTube. Make sure to follow us on Spotify if that's where you're listening as well, or Apple, wherever you listen to your podcast, however you can interact. We appreciate it all. Thank you, and we will see you guys on Tuesday with the MLS Power Rankings and recap. See ya.